When fans fall in love with a movie franchise, there's one thing they all want.
You want it? Come get it.
More. More of the characters we adore, more epic moments, and definitely more of what hooked us in the first place. But then something changes.
Let's get real for a moment.
The magic fades, the characters feel off, and the heart, it's missing.
I'm sorry.
Before we know it, the very thing we love is barely recognizable, and we're left watching the slow death of a once great franchise. So what went wrong? How do you take something beloved and ruin it? Before anything goes wrong, it's gotta be going right first. And back in the Obama era, nobody was topping DreamWorks in the animated movie business. They were pumping out hit after hit, some of them one-offs, sure, but they were killing it both at the box office and with the critics. When you saw that child sitting on the moon casting a fishing line, you knew you were in for an hour and a half you will never forget. In 2008, DreamWorks dropped something fresh, and then they did it again in 2010. 2 brand new original movies, 2 new IPs, Kung Fu Panda in 2008, Megamind in 2010. What's wild is that these 2 movies couldn't be more different. Different vibes, different stories, and completely different journeys to becoming cult classics. So let's rewind a bit and start with the one where the hero is a lazy, noodle-slinging panda who somehow became the chosen one.
Po? So that is his name.
I mean, the last time DreamWorks had a movie full of talking animals, it was a smash hit.
I like to move it. You like to move it.
But they didn't want Kung Fu Panda to be too similar to Madagascar, so they gave it a Shrek-like setting.
Legend tales of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend.
Talented voice actors? Kung Fu Panda had the best in the game.
I'm gonna do something I never thought I'd be able to do.
And you can never go wrong with a Kung Fu-themed movie. So after its successful debut at the box office, over $600 million, a video game spin-off series was added, as well as successful merchandising. It wasn't just the theatrics, comedy, or great animation. Well, even if it was, it wouldn't have hit as hard without a good story. Poe's got some real inner battles going on.
Maybe I should just quit and go back to making noodles.
There was Tai Lung's trauma,
Not your fault. Who filled my head with dreams?
Shifu's regret,
And it was my pride that blinded me. I loved you too much.
A children's animated movie should have no business having characters written this well. Even the moral exposition at the end that's supposed to be cringy actually sounds cool.
What?
There is no secret ingredient. It's just you.
But just when you think the original couldn't be topped, Kung Fu Panda 2 literally asks for its beer to be held. We get a villain who makes Tai Lung look like a cuddly little kitten.
The only reason you're still alive is that I find your stupidity mildly amusing.
Okay, maybe not a kitten, but a cub that never had a chance to grow up evil. Much like the first movie, everybody is fighting their demons. The bad guy?
He was banished from the city forever, but Shen swore revenge.
As well as the good guy.
It is the rest of your story, who you choose to be.
Questions we had in the first movie get answered in the second, in the most captivating way possible.
Young Shen was in line to rule Gongmen City, but he wanted more.
By now, the movies in the Kung Fu Panda series had a formula, if you will. Dig into the past for more lore, and then find a way to bring it to the present to create a future that brings things full circle. Therefore, when Kung Fu Panda 3 came out, the villain was so ancient, he had beef with Master Oogway.
Fighting by my side was Kai, my closest friend.
As far as the present and future are concerned, we saw Po reunited with his family.
Son? Oh my gosh, it is you!
The fact that they overcame the bad guy with goofiness like Po did in the first Kung Fu Panda movie really felt like a tribute to the first movie.
Over here, Mr. Jumpman.
And how did these movies do? If the numbers mean anything, this trilogy was a massive success. We're talking over $500 million across the 3 films, a stack of awards, and critical praise all around. But not every DreamWorks series got that kind of love. And Megamind? Let's just say it may have taken a while, but it eventually got its flowers.
Whoa. This isn't how you play the game.
Game over.
This movie wasn't anything like Kung Fu Panda. DreamWorks wanted a taste of that superhero franchise cake that Marvel and DC were having. But they didn't want to be called ripoffs, so they made the bad guy a good guy and the good guy even more villainous. That's not just clever, that's character development that most superhero movies don't even try to pull off.
No, you're a hero!
Being a hero is for losers. It's work, 24/7, and for what?
The plot and premise? Sure, they're solid. But what really made Megamind stand out wasn't the action or the twists, it was how these animated characters somehow captured real adult struggles.
I'm the bad guy. I don't save the day.
We saw ourselves in him, in the doubt, the rejection, and the slow, messy journey toward doing the right thing anyway.
I can explain.
Depression can get the better of even the best of us.
We had done this same silly charade our entire lives.
We can also be tempted to feel over-deserving of something that's not ours.
Isn't this great? Now there's nothing keeping us apart.
But at the end of the day, fate can be undone with the right choices.
You were right, Roxanne. I never should have left.
But you know what else never leaves? The idea of a new movie when the previous one was very successful. Sometimes a big-headed blue genius and a Kung Fu Panda turn into cash cows, and DreamWorks wasn't going to stop milking them till they were dry. But that right there is one of the problems, not knowing when to stop. Everybody loved Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3, but when 4 came around, it was not for the better.
This is not working at all.
DreamWorks Studios was out of juice for this series. First of all, the villain didn't even have very convincing motives.
You already have the city. What else could you possibly want?
Her powers did make sense given the type of animal she is, but the last villain in the series literally had the same set of powers. Zen, as a character, had potential, but she needed better writing. And let's be honest, the internet wasn't exactly thrilled about Awkwafina's performance. Now, that could have been overlooked if Zen was actually a compelling character. Instead, we got someone who's all jokes, no depth, no real internal conflict, no emotional arc, just comic relief with plot armor.
Don't worry. The law has better things to do than look for me.
Hey, Fox, we've been looking for you.
So when the big plot twist finally hits, it's hard to feel anything because the movie barely gives us a reason to care about Zen in the first place. This is wild because one of the main subplots is Po trying to find the next Dragon Warrior. And if you've seen the first movie, you know how big of a deal that title is. Po was literally laughed at, bullied, and written off because no one believed he could ever be the Dragon Warrior.
And he's stuck with you. A big, fat panda.
That legacy, that emotional weight, yeah, it's barely there this time around. A snow leopard was ready to tear him to shreds because he felt wronged by not getting this title.
Ah, you want it? Come get it.
Oh! Finally.
But in this movie, Po just hands it to Zen like it's some sort of reward.
Her? Out of all the candidates you choose to train as your worthy successor, you chose the fox?
It's like Po is saying, although you nearly got me killed, thank you for betraying your old boss and helping me save the day. And Po acting like he still needs therapy 4 movies into a series after more than 10 years is getting really stale.
Wait, you mean I'm not gonna be the Dragon Warrior anymore?
Exactly.
A flop, Po. That's what you're going to be. This is the one time the numbers do lie. Don't let the movie's $500 million box office gross deceive you. Fans and critics did not like Kung Fu Panda 4. It had the worst Metascore, and it was the only movie in the series to score below 55. It's no coincidence that Screen Rant, IMDb, and other popular sites have it as the worst movie in the series. Anybody could have seen this coming from a mile away. Star Wars is the only franchise that can get away with having a trilogy of trilogies. The co-producer, Jennifer Yu Nelson, wasn't even sure that more than 3 Kung Fu Panda movies were feasible. However, for some reason, then DreamWorks Animation CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg believed that when the first movie came out, there would be room for up to 6. That said, let's give credit where it's due. It took 4 movies for DreamWorks to fumble the bag with our favorite kung fu fighting bear. Meanwhile, Megamind, they managed to crash and burn with just 1 sequel. This plot is so weak that the movie was doomed before it could even be animated. The first one was never made with the idea of a sequel in mind. It was a movie parody genre, just like Shark Tale and Monsters vs. Aliens, 2 DreamWorks movies that never got sequels. It didn't have the things that made the first movie great. They couldn't bring back the original voice cast. The animation looked like something made for Nickelodeon, and the one thing that could have saved it, a strong story, completely fell flat. The adult themes laced in a seamlessly funny movie, the character depth and life lessons, all of that wasn't there. Megamind not having an open-ended conclusion isn't even a good excuse to just ruin the series. The writers could have given us a better story. They had already flipped a popular trope, so why not flip it again? Make Megamind what Metro Man was in the first movie, and make him the depressed hero with a villain he inadvertently made. There's actually a reason for this, and you will not believe it. Guess what was going on in 2023 during Megamind 2's production? There's no way writers are out here crafting an incredible story while they're literally fighting for their labor rights. And who suffers for it? We do, the viewers. Because now we're the ones stuck trying to hate the characters we once grew up loving. But if you really want to put the nail in the coffin for a series, there's one thing that's guaranteed to always work. And that's to go woke. Not many series survive after this, and Kung Fu Panda definitely didn't. Instead of staying true to what made the original movies great, simple, timeless storytelling with real emotional stakes, it feels like the 4th film was more focused on checking boxes. Was it a creative choice, or was it just DreamWorks trying to follow the current trend? We've seen this before. Over at Disney, they've been reimagining villains into misunderstood anti-heroes and remaking classics with a modern spin that doesn't always land. I even made a whole video about this, and you can check that out too. Anyway, it seems like DreamWorks is taking notes from Disney. Let's not forget that this is the same studio that gave us The Prince of Egypt, a film praised for its depth, beauty, and storytelling. So where did that spirit go? Was Kung Fu Panda 4 really a step forward, or just another case of a studio trying too hard to stay relevant or be woke? I'll let you decide. Another question, does it paint the villain as a victim of societal injustice?
They would say I was too small, too lowly.
Yes. Does it take away from the consequences of doing wrong?
Betray me, and now you want to fight me?
Of course. And does it undermine the importance of virtues as a heroic character trait?
Fine, choose who you want, a thief, a stick, a carrot, I don't even know why I bother.
It does that too. But that's not all. Why did it take 4 movies before we got a female main villain? And not just any villain, a chameleon. The last time one of those took center stage, it was a confused desert wanderer in Rango. And let's be honest, making her male might have given the character a more menacing presence. That's not to say female antagonists can't bring the heat, because they absolutely can. In fact, Lord Shen from the second film, he could have easily worked as a villainess, given his flair and dramatic complexity. But here's the bigger question. Was it really wokeness that killed this franchise, or was it the lazy writing? Maybe it was both. Because when you strip it all down, what's usually behind decisions like this might not be ideology. Sometimes it's just money, and nothing kills a beloved franchise faster than trying to cash in without putting the work in. I'll be honest, DreamWorks might have had every reason to drop Kung Fu Panda 4 and Megamind 2 in 2023. It was a slow year for the studio. Their theatrical releases were underwhelming, and honestly, only Puss in Boots: The Last Wish from 2022 was doing the heavy lifting revenue-wise. But even if DreamWorks didn't want to make these sequels, the fans probably would have pressured them into it anyway. We've seen this play out before. Remember when Warner Brothers tried to hold the line and not release the Snyder Cut? Yeah, that didn't last long. So DreamWorks wasn't about to sit around waiting for fans to start begging. 2 Kung Fu Panda sequels already worked, so a third one was guaranteed to get people talking. And with Megamind suddenly getting all that love over a decade later, what better time to drop a sequel? I mean, The Incredibles 2 came out 14 years after the original, and it still crushed the box office. DreamWorks tried new IPs in 2023 with the release of Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, Curses, and other films and TV series. But let's be real, they didn't do so well. So going back to what people already knew and loved looked like it was a low-risk, high-reward move. There's no way this could go wrong, right? Psych!
Why did they make this garbage?
By 2024, DreamWorks' theatrical releases were pulling numbers like it was peak COVID all over again. They didn't just hit rock bottom, they fell through the floor and landed in the basement. And honestly, they've got no one to blame but themselves.
It does not look good for them.
Megamind 2 couldn't even get double-digit scores on Rotten Tomatoes. You would think that getting nominated for an award would make up for it, but it was in the category for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel at the 45th Golden Raspberry Awards. If DreamWorks needed a giant flashing sign that screamed, "Don't ever do this again," this was it. At this point, it's pretty safe to say Megamind will never become a trilogy, and if Kung Fu Panda 5 ever happens, it might as well be fan fiction. Now, you'd think that if ruining a series is this easy, then doing the opposite, preserving it, should be just as simple. But nope, it's never that straightforward. It's easy to call these studios greedy, but let's be real, when an IP has the potential to rake in 9 figures at the box office, saying no is a tough ask. So they greenlight the sequel first and then try to figure out the story, and that's where everything starts to fall apart. They don't know when to quit. Everyone loves a great story, sure, but at the end of the day, it's still a story, and stories need to end. Creativity might be endless, but forcing a narrative past its natural conclusion is like trying to knit a sweater with leftover yarn. You're not getting anything wearable, just a tangled mess. Just because fans want a sequel doesn't mean you should give it to them. If there's room to expand the story, sure, it can work. We got 2 great Kung Fu Panda sequels before things started to go downhill. But let's be honest, the 4th movie, not really necessary. Fans would much rather have a complete, satisfying trilogy than a sequel that weakens everything that came before it. People rewatch great movies all the time, but no one's rushing back to the one that soured the whole series. When it comes to film franchises, they either end early enough to be beloved forever, or they drag on long enough to be forgotten, or worse, hated. Now, ruining a series is one thing, but dividing a generation? That's a new level of bad writing. If you want to know how Disney divided a generation with their villains, even worse than DreamWorks did with their series, then click here to find out how.